All right. So, it's hard to cheer everyone up after the American election results came in. It just came to mind, somebody told me today that some 2,000 people committed suicide in America almost immediately after the election. I think that's a little bit of an overreaction. As if the mind is in trouble already, then sometimes the slightest bit of bad news can shift it over the edge, I guess. So what became important to remember was this, in reality we live in this internal world. We are rarely affected by some political things that are going on outside. Sometimes we are unfortunate in some catastrophe, some natural disaster occurs or whatnot, and then we can be immediately concerned, and we have to be. When it's getting cold and our house is blown away and we're hungry, or we lost somebody. But most of the time, these things, they happen in our own heads. If we really have a look how much it affects us from minute to minute to minute, all that stuff, it's actually very little. So in becoming aware that awareness is not a thing that can be, this is what is true, this is what is not true. How is it possible that 50% of the population in America can love that guy and the other 50% is for them it's a criminal, whatnot? Is this perception that we have in our mind defines our worldview and defines our well-being. So what we do in Buddhism, we pay more attention to that what is actually defining our reality. And what defines our reality is our thoughts, what we buy into, what we believe in, where we put our energy. And a very good measurement of if we are on a good path or on a path that's getting more peaceful, or on a path that is causing us more stress and suffering, is to develop that ability to feel inside of your body. Starting with your body in the meditation, relaxing the body. And then if the body is a little bit relaxed already, the mind is a little bit relaxed and not thinking with this immense speed that for some people is happening all the time. This tremendous one thought, one concept after the other, boom, 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 boom. And we lose that connectedness with what is really going on in the moment. And to find out in the meditation that there exists this world where we don't have to hold up that perception of reality the whole time, that something doesn't have to be that way, the way we thought about it over and over for so many years sometimes, that it's such an integral part of our perception and our life. And in meditation we can look at that. And we see when the thoughts become slower and the thoughts sometimes they stop a little bit. Hopefully for some of you they stop for even a few seconds, minutes if you're lucky. And in these moments, I want you especially tonight, please pay attention to that, these moments of freedom in between the thoughts. Not aiming and not criticizing that it's not completely silent. Just every time you realize there's just not a thought right now. Not thinking about it obviously, but there's something that can know without thinking. There's just this awareness that is there, and it realizes, oh, no thought. See how that feels. Because this thinking process is a real addiction. I just mentioned with a monk who was setting up the equipment here, that is, I see 2, 3, now we have 4 men here actually. 4 men, and usually I think it's, on a good day it's about 60% female, 40% male in a meditation group. And we just discussed actually why that might be happening. And I thought this, for me, is connection. Usually, women are more in connection with their feelings. They take their feelings more important than their thoughts. And men, when they have to give up thoughts, is such an important aspect of their personality. Often, it doesn't seem that attractive. But that is pure speculation. I don't have any scientific evidence for that. But what happens in the meditation, we get in contact with this feelings more. First with the body. How does the body feel right in that moment? Is this, and sometimes we realize, oh wow, I'm sitting really uncomfortable the whole time already, or I'm having my shoulders up the whole time. I'm sort of in a defensive position the whole time. And then we don't have to be so surprised when we're getting stiff and pains in the body. There's a lot of unawareness there for our postures, for our body the whole time. Because we're just not in contact with it. We're always somewhere else. And I think it's a real advantage also for judging situations, judging encounters. We have judging thoughts in our own mind. If we have a connection to the body, if a thought, you cannot have a sort of ill will, for example, and be relaxed in your body. You cannot have a sort of aversion, anger, hostility, whatever, any negative emotion, and the body is completely relaxed in that. It doesn't work. No? And that is something I just, from my own experience, you can try that out for yourself if you manage to do that. You don't have to believe me. But for me it's a very good indicator, because often we ask ourselves, is this thought leading to more peace, to more happiness, or is this thought leading to more suffering and conflict? And our heart rate, our blood pressure, our emotion, our well-being in that moment can tell us a lot about this thought process that is going on at the time. That doesn't mean every thought that excites us is a negative thing. But if you have a little bit of experience with peace and a peaceful mind and a calm mind, and then a thought of something from the past you got angry about, or something you expect from the future you try to avoid, and just avoidance, this sort of reaction, is stressful already. And then we can ask ourselves, okay, what am I trying to avoid there? And that is a different perspective, dealing with your thoughts as well, filtered through what's going on with my body at that moment. I find that always so interesting when people are fascinated and can follow guys who stand there on the podium like, it's just like, wow. Don't want to anywhere near that. Somebody who's talking like that already is very suspicious. It's not interesting for me to listen even to somebody like that. Huh? It's just so out of touch with where I want to be. It's just after 55 years, on this earth, I can decide I'm not interested in that stuff anymore. I'm not willing to listen to that. And that is just by not by having formed strong convictions in my mind one way or the other. It's basically just the way it feels. And meditation can train us to get a little bit more in contact with that. Because our body is telling us something, our heart rate is telling us something. When we're getting really upset, it's just, and then we have thoughts that make us more upset. It's just, we can see, this is not helping. There is no peace in that direction of thought. And then instead of saying, this is right or this is wrong, we just see there is just more conflict in that direction. And is there really any solution in that direction? So for me, there is a lot more clarity, at least with the interest I have, because I'm not interested in fighting and conflict. For me, the most important goal is that you have something in your mind that is a home and an island, and it's less dependent on the outside circumstances. Achieving something like that is something valuable to me. And I think that is what the Buddha was talking about. Having this, it's not stopping the outside suffering from happening. It's realizing what is causing suffering. And a lot of this is our thought process and this complete disconnect to the feelings that the thoughts arouse. So that is a little experiment I want to do with you tonight in the meditation, and then instead of aiming high for the totally quiet mind, it's just being aware each and every time when the thought process stops, and it will stop, even if it's just for an in-breath, or just an out-breath, or an in-breath and an out-breath. It's not going to be. It's not going to be constant. There are these little gaps in between. And if we look very closely to these gaps in a relaxed position, I mean the most important thing for the meditation is that you sit really comfortable. However you achieve that. I hope you have figured out something at home where you can sit in a position where your breathing is not restricted and you don't have the feeling I might fall in this or that direction or forwards or backwards. It's just stable, comfortable, and you can pump yourself up and you don't have any restrictions around your belly or anywhere, because the breathing part is a very important part for this feeling of being at ease. The worst feeling we can have is when the thinking process reduces a little bit and we have this feeling, something is wrong. Sometimes then we become aware of our breathing and it feels forced. It doesn't feel effortless anymore. So from the beginning we make sure the body is all right. And then we know, okay, this is just something that happens now because I pay more attention to it. And often when we pay attention to something, our controller comes and tries to manipulate things. And that is all right. But it doesn't need to be. The breathing is a natural process, and if you fall unconscious, you're going to continue breathing, actually. So you're not going to suffocate. That's one thing I can guarantee you, if there's no gas leak or whatnot in your apartment right now. So having a breath, I call that an anchor. Yeah? It doesn't need to be your focal point, because often people go, be with my breath, and then basically they try to figure out where the breath is, or they're just at the nose or somewhere. Just for me, it's more important, get in contact with your body, how you're sitting first, and use your breath as something to relax into it, that you feel comfortable, that you know, it's nice, there's enough oxygen, don't have to do anything right now. As comfortable as you can be. And sometimes it gets a little bit uncomfortable because we get in contact with something we're not so aware of most of the time. And sometimes after 10 minutes, I can still feel my shoulders coming down in the meditation, and I get into a little bit more comfortable position. And just by itself, it just takes some time for the body to relax into it. But if the breathing is non-restricted, it usually doesn't feel panicky or really unpleasant. So breath is something you can have it take it into the foreground, but don't try to manipulate it too much. Especially we can take a few deep breaths in and out, but then we know that the body is doing the job. We still might control it a little bit, but that is definitely not our goal, to control the breath. Just something that is very beautiful to notice in the background, that is working nicely. And sometimes it comes just by itself, it gets more and more into the foreground. Sometimes we become aware of the noises, we become aware of the position of our legs, or there's something not right with our shoulders, it feels still tense, or our butt hurts, or the knee hurts, or something like that. But the overall being comfortable is very important, that you know you don't damage anything. That is the kindness that we go into the meditation with. We know for that half an hour, if I sit like that, the body is not going to get damaged. So it's not it's the opposite of fighting, the opposite of shouting and wanting. It's realizing, thought vanished for a short while. How did that feel? And that is the only way, in my opinion, to make meditation attractive. If we realize how pleasant it can be, when we realize we don't have to think, we're not going to lose our ego or lose reality or anything without the commentator we have on there the whole time, explaining the world to us. The world is a lot more there when the commentator is silent. It's the funny thing. It's getting more real and more intense when the commentator, the more silent the commentator becomes, the more interesting it becomes, because it's just so much going on without us doing anything. So just this positive attention to each and every time you figure out, oh, there's no sound. And if it becomes attractive to the mind is going to be drawn automatically towards that. We want that is pleasant. We try to avoid what is unpleasant. That's the whole game. So if the meditation doesn't become something that is pleasant, we can force ourselves a while to do it, and then it's not going to work anymore. And why should we do that in the first place? Meditation has something to offer which is inherently nice. Something that also feels very familiar, is not completely strange. It's just something that we have lived through as a child before we had the words for things. I was at state for quite a few months before we even learned the first word to describe anything. So it's not going to be that strange, and there is that beauty and that childlike quality there, because it's just that the judgment drops away, and it's just remembering something that we have lost. And it's just this being there with things, being in the moment. Well, let's see if we can do it. Okay? So please get yourself comfortable. And I really mean that. Some people have their cameras off. That's quite nice. You can lie down or sit on your favorite meditation cushion, whatever you're going to do. And the only objective is make sure that when you take a deep breath, you don't feel any restriction there. And that also is going to balance you if you are in a sitting position, that you're not too far forwards or backwards. There's an equilibrium there, just with the breath. I'm going to talk maybe a few more minutes into the meditation, and then I'm going to be quiet. So this getting comfortable is a process, like I said. It doesn't need to be finished after a few seconds. You can adjust as long as you want. You have the feeling every limb is in the right place. And please do that to pump yourself up a little bit, that you take a little bit more air in than you usually do, and see if there's anything that's holding you back from doing that. And if you do that, on the out-breath is a really nice opportunity, because it's almost automatic that the shoulders start to relax. And then for me, in the sitting position, the head comes in the right position if I do that. It's just balancing out. And then after a few minutes, I know this is a position my body is super safe in for 30 minutes. There's no harm is going to come to that body. So if I fall asleep or fall unconscious or get into super deep meditation, the body is just going to sit there. And then we can stay with in and out breaths for a short while, and just, even if it's still very controlled what we're doing, it doesn't matter. Controlled but nice, just feels, oh yeah, there's enough oxygen there. Can let go into that. Don't have to hold on to something to avoid something happening. And what you do from now on is completely up to your individual circumstances. You can stay more with the breath, or you can the breath, let it fall more in the background and become aware of your body sitting or lying, whatever it's doing. Getting aware of the sounds in the room. And just getting more and more into this experience of this moment. This opportunity where we don't have to judge, we don't have to figure out, we don't have to commentate, you don't have to name, describe. And if you can make that something pleasant, where you feel safe, where you feel at ease, that feeling that you don't have to do. It's there for you, you deserve it. Everybody deserves it. It's there the whole time. There's this possibility of peace. And it's always there. already. It's sometimes just too noisy to be aware of it. So if you're lucky and your mind slows down a little bit, see the gaps. See the short periods where there's no thoughts. And feel yourself into those moments. How does it feel? How does it feel when things slow down a little bit? Am I muted? No. Hello. Is that hard to hear? Good.
We didn't hear the bell, Ajahn.
Oh, somebody's driving the car. Martha, don't go too deep into meditation, otherwise you're gonna crash. So, how many people do we have here tonight? 36 participants, all right. Click. Click. Good. So, was it as beautiful for you as it was for me? So, the advantage is obviously judgment, not just an intellectual judgment, but a judgment that comes from the heart. And then another aspect of getting a little bit more aware is being that little bit more aware that most of the time we are in this constant narrative. In that from beginning to the end of each day, we're usually in this narrative. And then if that narrative is, let's say, delusional enough, everything can become really, really dark. Or if it can become incredibly exciting and super duper, but that can be delusional as well. So meditation, I find that a nice, if you have experienced a little bit of peace, is you get a feeling. You have to know for yourself what direction you want to take in your life. I mean, I don't mean you have to be peaceful the whole time. Sometimes people want to get excited. They want to do paragliding, or parachuting, or water skiing, or I don't know what. Because it's just the thrill and excitement that has a sweetness to it as well. Obviously, otherwise people wouldn't go for it. But the meditation can give you a baseline for. Obviously we're all getting older, and so now when I look around, most of you are over 30, I would at least say. Lots are over 50, 60. Why is that? It's because when we're younger, there is a lot more, wow, want to get something out of this world. I want to feel, taste, touch, sex and drugs and rock and roll. Yeah, let's go for it. And there's so much stuff we want to experience. And at a certain age comes also certain repetition, everything. It's just not that interesting anymore, a lot of things that were sort of excited us before. So that's when people start looking for something else. And for me, this having this little bit of a connection with your feelings, with a little bit of calm. What does it mean to be calm? A little bit of peace. What does peace mean? Peace is not boring, or peace. It's basically something that is very, very pleasant. It's like being in war before, and then you have peace. It's the opposite of stress, and because peace is just a word. It has, it is a description of something that lost its meaning for a lot of people, because it's repeated over and over again. Peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature, but peace. The beauty of peace needs to be experienced, obviously. There is a quality to it. And that was why I was pointing to these moments when, especially if you have a very stressful mind, lots of negative thoughts, lots of doubts, lots of sorts of anguish, sorts of anxiety, stuff like that. To have something that can remember a place where the thoughts slow down. And it's just the war stops. Something that was so real and that was reality. We're living under Trump now. Oh my gosh, and it's going to be Third World War and the Middle East and Ukraine and bloody hell, and all the nice things we did for the environment is all going to be washed away again. And if we go into that stuff, into these thoughts, and we take that as reality, we can become really, really crazy, and if we're depressed enough, even suicidal. But realizing this is not reality, because a lot of people didn't commit suicide. Are they just stupid? A lot of people, they were maybe a little bit upset for a short while, and then it was okay again. This capacity, not holding on to things where we feel this is not going in a wholesome direction. And with this little bit of meditation experience, you can go just, and it's not just in these moments when we sit down. It's in these moments in day-to-day life where we can just take this step back, and this is just thought. This is just a possibility. This is not reality. And having that freedom, I think that is something really worthwhile, at least for me. Seeing thought as thought and nothing more. A feeling is feeling. I'm not in control of that stuff. It's coming and going. But there is something that has learned to discern, to see, wow, this is the direction that's just getting more and more wobbly and unpleasant in that direction of thinking. And that is a direction, there's no problem there. It's kind thoughts, or harmless thoughts, guileless thoughts. And the body tells us about that direction. Our well-being, our whole perception tells us about that if we pay attention. We cannot go with the shouters and the liars and the just such a immorality, going against the 5 precepts is just very wobbly and very insecure and very unattractive. It's not a commandment or whatnot. It's states of mind. If people can trust you, if you're a trustworthy person, you're going to attract trustworthy other people, basically, who can be trusted. So sooner or later, we're going to meet where our mind is at. If we're liars and drinkers and screw around and kill things, and I don't know, we end up with the people who do that sort of stuff. And if we're interested in more peaceful, in treating ourselves with and others with respect, consideration, bit of kindness, and we have a foundation in that, we see the quality in that, because we can see the effects of a lie or consciously deceiving somebody. It feels crap. People just don't pay attention to that. They don't even have the slightest idea anymore what is meant by peace. Otherwise, that direction just becomes by itself less and less interesting. Not a sin or whatnot, it's just like it's less peaceful there. And it's less wholesome consequences for me in the future. And seeing things clearly is all we need. We don't need to convince ourselves of anything. It's all about seeing things as they are. The Buddha said, I'm not selling you anything here. It's just I have looked very, very deep, and this is how the mind works, nothing more. The mind wants happiness and tries to avoid unhappiness. That is our whole job 24 hours a day. If you want it or not. Any effort you do is not to become more unhappy, it's because you want to be happier. Only the means and the skillfulness and seeing what really makes the mind happier and what is destructive for the mind. That is obviously not so easy to discern. And meditation can be a great guide in that, even if it doesn't become 100% peaceful or whatnot. But you have a measuring stick there. You feel inside your body when you're in a situation, it's just like, and you feel, that direction that doesn't feel right. There is no positive outcome anymore. And sometimes it still happens because the tendencies are very strong. They still push and pull us in directions. But at least we're not going to justify it afterwards for us anymore. We don't have to say, oh yeah, that was right, that I was angry basically, and it really needed to be taught a lesson. That's basically, you see, this is from that action, there is, if I constantly go in that direction, there is no peaceful outcome there. If I don't let the other person have a way out, there cannot be a peaceful outcome. It's just going to be a lot more war. And the most hopeless war we can fight is the war in our own heads. Being at war with ourselves, which is a very, very terrible thing to have. So having this measurement of kindness and calmness, wishing yourself the best, why not? You don't deserve it? Anybody there who doesn't deserve it? Who is going to measure that? Who is going to tell you that? Just saw a few near-death experience guys again. They're always so astounded by the amount of kindness that usually comes towards them when they die. And just this forgotten thing of this unconditional love. Even if you mess up. And that is there the whole time as well. There are people producing that sort of stuff as well. And probably lots of beings around, basically, who are in a really pleasant mind state. So that exists as a possibility as well in our universe. What reality is on offer and what reality we're living in are completely different things often. And if we get too much into politics and into the negative things that happen in the world or somewhere else, the mind gets very confused about what is really going on in your life. How you treat your family, your friends, how you behave in your everyday life. What are you doing if somebody cuts the spot in front of you on the freeway, doesn't pay attention, or drives aggressively? Do I respond with more aggressiveness, or basically do I give him a chance there to just be aggressive today? That's okay. I'm going to let you in anyway. So there's so many little things where, if the mind is in a peaceful place, that we can do nice for other people, where it becomes more pleasant to be around us as well. So the best we do for ourselves is also the best we can do for others. The more peaceful we are, the happier we are, and the less demanding we're going to be. Even demanding that other people do the basic things right. And that, for me, at least, is a taste of freedom. There is no freedom. I can't see any freedom out there. There's never going to be perfect circumstances for me. I'm living under perfect circumstances already. I have a beautiful hut in the forest. I have super nice heating. I have enough clothes. I get enough to eat. When I'm sick, I can go to the doctor. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Some of you made that possible. Marvelous. But a lot of you have that as well. Huh? Nice home, enough to eat. So a lot of the other stuff is in our heads. And hopefully everybody becomes more and more aware that we're getting more discerning what the inner monologue is telling us. You don't have to believe and buy into anything that comes up there. So between 90 and 95% is bullshit. For myself, at least. You might be a lot wiser. Sorry, it's just how it looks in my mind. Most of it is complete crap, worthless, nonsense. Not negative or whatnot, necessarily. I don't have that much negativity anymore. But sort of meaningless. Could if that wasn't there, it wouldn't be a problem at all as well. But for people who have a lot of negativity and stuff, it's good to realize, how does it feel? Where is it going? What is the direction here? And then instead of, oh, you're getting negative again, blah, 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 it's just like, realize this negativity. It's just a possibility. And now it's like that. But you remember there is calmness is a possibility as well. And that will also, the opportunity for that will arise again as well. And the more beauty the mind can see in that, the more the mind is inclined towards that. You don't have to do anything. We want happiness, we try to avoid suffering. If we can see beauty in that what is right and wholesome for ourselves and others, it's stress-free, effortless. The only stress we create is then always between where I want to be and where I'm not. And then after a while, basically, also you see it's not my choice. It's basically still happening like that. But that direction is more interesting. Peaceful direction, where I'm my own island, where the outside circumstances are not gonna define my reality so much anymore. Where things can go wrong and I will be all right. That's at least what I find interesting, actually. You have to decide for yourself. So that's what I get out of that practicing in that direction. It's just happier, I find. And I consider myself a pretty happy person. Not like, so happy the whole time or whatnot. It's sort of the amount of I don't know anxiety coming up. I don't have problems with that. I sleep well. When something happens that I can still get upset, but it's getting easier and easier, sometimes just minutes, and then I can let it go. And I see that as a great success in my own practice, even if I'm not awakened or whatnot. I don't know what the Buddha was talking about yet. I don't know the end of suffering. I have no clue how that feels. But the direction is right for me. And that is the beauty for me between a blind belief and a practice. If you can't see progress for you after a few years, at least on your path, well, you can look back and you see there is something positive happened there for me in my life. You're either not practicing in a right way, or you maybe Buddhism isn't it for you. If you get more unhappy with Buddhism, then that is not the goal, obviously. It's not something to believe in, something that should bring up something in your life that is worthwhile, that gains value over the years. And if that's not the case, then I'm also not interested in that. I don't want to be a believer. For me, I ordained because I was interested in somebody who described a way to lessen suffering and to find the end of suffering. That was my motivation. And I hope that is happening for you in your practice and in your meditation, that you find a way. Find a way to see clearly. And little by little you find these spots of happiness that come up. And the mind gets interested in that. Automatically, because it feels beautiful. There is beauty in that. And peace is really often not the right word. I told that story before. I remember this 2 layists coming to the monastery, and they were standing on the patio, on the veranda, and looking out into the forest. And it's so peaceful here, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, let's go. That is not what I mean with peaceful. Peaceful, you don't want to leave. Peaceful is just like peace. Peaceful is like glue. Peaceful is synonymous with happiness. Huh? And when you're happy, really happy, you don't want to change your circumstances. I mean, if you're arm in arm with your greatest love or whatnot, freshly in love, you don't usually want to be somewhere else, or there's something really wrong already. And that is how it feels, that you don't want to be somewhere else. Huh? There's a beauty to it. But it's not always the super duper beauty, but there's a taste of that. And I hope you have this taste in your meditation, where you just have this feeling something drops off. There is a lightness there. Just this kindness of giving yourself the opportunity of sitting. And you don't have to achieve, you don't have to be anything, you don't have to think anything, you don't have to... Whatever comes is welcome. Huh? And that is such an incredible kindness. Also an incredible kindness to learn from, how we want to be treated, how we can put effort into that to treat others more like that. Huh? But it's not something exhausting. It's something because it has beauty to it. It drives in that direction, and that's the only way I want to practice. Huh? Shouldn't we, with gnashing of teeth and I don't know what? And your meditation is not supposed to be like that either. And if sitting down is hard for you, do some walking or do other stuff, meditative dances or whatever. Sometimes the body needs to be moved still or whatnot. Don't fixate on anything. Even in Buddhism, how things have to be. I don't encourage that. Huh? It might not be at this time the right thing for you just to sit still. But that doesn't mean that there is not beauty in this. Even if there is still movement, there can be peacefulness and kindness with it. Huh? Can be wholesome, very wholesome qualities. Other people sit down and they're miserable for half an hour. That doesn't help either. It's the opposite. Huh? If you get up from your meditation and you're more exhausted and frustrated than you were before, it's not going to help anybody, not yourself and not anybody out there. It's only if the mind is interested in doing that. What is going on? And if you have a mind like that in that moment, you can do it. And if it's not like that in that moment, you do something else. But the wholesomeness, the quality of investigation and kindness in your own mind state that's what the 5 precepts are for. This is non-harming, nothing else. And what Jesus said, and just don't do to anybody what you don't want to have done on towards yourself. So easy. And then you don't treat yourself worse than you would treat somebody else in your best mind state, obviously. And with that sort of thing, meditation becomes something, and it doesn't need to be half an hour. Like I said before, do it 5 minutes or whatnot. Just get a feel for it. And then step back a few times in your day and just let go and be there in the moment. Just how do you feel in that moment? What is my mind state in that moment? But not judgmental, interested. But if it's negative, you just see, oh, okay, negative. And then you see the thought pattern behind it. It's just like, and you can see, wow, okay, that thought pattern, I had that a lot of time already. Did that ever lead me into a positive, calm direction? And then you can answer yourself all these questions, and you figure things out by yourself. And your own little laboratory. And for me, that is what meditation is, a direction, at least the way I practice it. So if that is interesting and helpful for you, good luck with that. Are there any questions? Yeah?
Do you have any tricks, Ajahn, that help you when thoughts do intrude? When they do intrude when you're trying to meditate, do you have any specific things that you try to stop the thoughts from reoccurring?
Well, first of all, I try to make it a little bit clear that this is not the time to figure something out. This is the time for that thought are allowed to stop. And I try to remember that during the meditation. So if somebody comes up and, oh, this is so interesting, and it's just like, no, okay, not now, okay? So I do that, for example, but usually I really go into my body and I go into this feeling of goodwill for myself first. Sort of wishing, not with I wish may Cittapalo be well and happy or whatnot. I cannot have this formulas or whatnot. It's just it's a little bit of a smile in my mouth when I start my meditation often. I just smile for myself. And then the more my body relaxes, I feel that my lips relax and the smile go down, and then sometimes, if it's still too wobbly, neutral, I bring the smile a little bit up again, and that has a quality. And then later on in the meditation, the smile on the lips says stop, but I still have the feeling my mind is smiling at me, and that is what I call goodwill. Just this that you don't have anybody in the background judging. Or you shouldn't think so much, or you should do this, or you should do that. Thoughts can still come up, but the focus is much more on that goodwill for me. You understand what I mean? It's a feeling. That's why I'm talking about these feelings. This goodwill is just like being able to breathe freely, that's good enough. I'm not in pain right now, that's good enough. It's a mixture between gratitude, kindness, interest in the moment as well. If you're interested in something, it's a very kind mind state. If you say something to somebody else and you have the feeling they're really listening to you, it feels incredibly kind. Somebody taking their time actually to listen to you. And this sort of attitude and feeling is for me much more important than the little wow-wow-wows that come up. And sometimes I get into a monologue, but then I catch myself and it's basically just like, it doesn't even need to be a comment. Something just realizes, no, it's meditation time, not in words, but it realizes that. But it has this kindness towards it, that there was a thought again, and then it goes back to that goodwill. And that can become really, really strong. And if that becomes strong enough, there is a lot of beauty there to focus on. Just this kindness in itself, gratitude in itself, they're really beautiful feelings. They can glue you, and to develop the skill that you learn to treat yourself in that manner, especially if you train in the meditation. But then you try to train yourself through the day as well, with kind thoughts towards yourself. If you make a mistake, that's all right. There is just a quality to that. And that is what can keep me in the meditation then. But it takes a little bit of practice, a little bit feeling yourself into it. Starting with that this thing. I suggested that many times in the Armadale group as well, and I practice that. I start with a smile on my face in the meditation, and then the funny thing is then the body relaxes, the smile fades, but you still have the feeling you're smiling without a smile on your face. And that is a very, very good beginning for the meditation. Very nice mind state to start the meditation with. So if people can achieve something like that, that's for me the most wholesome way of dealing with my own mind. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Other question? Or you want to go home?
Ajahn, I think we have come to the magic time of the end of the meditation group.
Yeah, I don't mind if there's another question. I mean, we don't pay by the hour or whatnot. So if somebody has another question, I'm happy to answer it.
Okay.
Whoever is tired, just switches off. You don't even have to walk anywhere. Just if there's another question, I'm happy. If not, we can finish for tonight also. So thanks. What is that? Thanks for the reality check. Misinformation is rife. More statements and questions, I think. All right. Well, treat yourself nicely, guys. It's not as bad as it looks. It's far worse. Only in the mind. So take care of your little heads.